So welcome into Philadelphia PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. No big deal, and in a good way. Even if you called me horse, rat, pig, dog, gerbil, squirrel, lizard, what have you. I forgot I did practice a lot of yoga, so that came up. In a good way, I don't care. So sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Although the truth is, words can be used big time to harm people out on the street, walking around. I do know, and it's a big deal to be able to get over people who will come up behind you and whisper things that creep you out, like the show. The show. I had that happen to me while waiting in line to get into a yoga class. And this is going back many years to 2012. And I'll give that example really quick before I get into my spiel. But I was doing overnights for some clients of mine. I was taking care of their dog, and they had like 5 cats. This is all the way down by Dickinson and that park in front of Dickinson around the 200, 300 block. I guess it's really the 300 to 400 block of Dickinson Street. And they had a wine bottle out on their kitchen, and there's a wine that's actually called The Show, and usually it's like somebody on a horse, like it could look like rodeo-ish or what have you. So it's not right. I'm thinking of Yellowtail also. They would probably have Yellowtail also in there, but they had a wine bottle smack dab next to their sink, and I was like, oh, look at this. I never heard of this wine called The Show or what have you, with a label that says The Show with a horse on it, and the horse is like got its front legs up and everything. I was doing overnights at their house as a dog walker, dog sitter, house sitter. And the next day I would show up for yoga and was waiting in line, and someone came up behind me and she kept saying, the show, the show, the show. And what would you do if somebody did that? I didn't know the person behind me that well. I kind of liked her as a person. She basically showed up to yoga. She practiced. She was a little bit more sort of like I guess not, I wouldn't say rough and tumble. I think she's actually an Ivy League person who was actually a coach for a certain team over at UPenn. And a bigger gal who's used to dealing with, some serious knocks or whatever. So she would kind of banter with people like she was one of the guys. She was kind of used to this world and, probably comes from a little bit better of an upbringing, but more money. I don't know how to word it the best way, but technically I kind of liked her. I didn't really know her, but she wasn't really a problem. But I'm wondering why she kept saying the show, the show. And how would you feel if that happened? So glad this idea popped in all of a sudden really quick, because there were a million examples and experiences that I had to put up with and wonder about, because I was like, why is she saying this show? And I was just looking at the wine bottle last night that has a big gigantic yellow sticker or orange sticker. They have different colors because I wound up shopping for Shipt and actually had to buy it for clients who wanted that wine, and delivered that wine to people much later, many years later. But anyway, and I was like, can she see the wine bottle? Like, how does she? In my mind, I was making the connection of, because what would make her say the show, right? I'm thinking, does she know that I did overnights, or does she know that there was a wine bottle sitting on the sink? Can she see into other people's homes? Did she know where I was? Then I did get to the point of thinking, well, if I was trapped in like a world of dog walking clients and so forth and so on, those people could relay information to other people who are part of this big matrix that was surrounding me. And, unless people, I don't know. Then I thought, well, maybe she knew to come in and stand in line behind me, or waited for me, in order to play the game, if you will. But that's a very good example. I'm glad it came up, because what would you do? You would wonder if someone knew all of your business, because that's one of the better examples. I can't believe that came up. I'm so happy, because it's incredibly difficult to prove that gang exists, or whatever you want to call that. It can feel creepy and stalkerish because it feels like people can see you 24/7, wherever you are, in your home, other people's homes, and that they could actually see through walls and would actually go so far as to say, the show, the show. Later, I would remember or find that there was that comedy with Will Ferrell called The Show. It was a movie where he's like a newscaster or whatever, and I think it was actually called The Show or similar. So anyway, but with all that said, a nice little intro to my one video each day, 365-day campaign, donor campaign, raising money for myself and possibly other people in my family who I feel are left behind in terms of experiencing a bunch of things involved, what I believe is involved with gang stalking, but raising money for a life lost, a soul tortured by activity like that. And that's technically on the light side. That is a prime example, but that was on the light side. But see what that does to someone's brain? Just that little tiny thing. And all day long, I had so many things go on that then something else would happen as soon as I got outside of the yoga studio. Probably my bike somebody popped a tire or something. I had so many things happen. So by then I was on to trying to handle the next problem. But in general, that creeps people out and it keeps feeding paranoia and one wondering what's going on. The brain then shuts down. It's unable to function normally. Most people have a hard time functioning every day, which is why Big Pharma is so profitable, because it's like most people just to get up and have to figure out how to make a living is hard enough, because the world really is, I'm sad to say, it can be a very ugly place. Like there are beautiful places out there. I totally believe that. I keep holding on to hope. So anyway, but that was a really good example. And this is day 74 of the one video each day, 365-day campaign to raise money so that I can exist and survive in a normal way, because I sort of have to get out there and still subject myself or to dog walking, which affords people more time to keep carrying out the same stupid activity. And people will do it everywhere, but dog walking seems to be one of the better places to continue on with this thing, because one is outside in the elements and can be attacked and can feel attacked or stalked even by people who don't even really know the meat of the matter. They could just be out there being stupid as, rings or gangs who walk around and do your average stuff. But I'll say really quick, in dog walking, even recently, I've encountered situations where it's like, I wound up with some dog walks on a certain block and everybody comes out to the street all of a sudden. It's almost like a block party. And we have people who are literally like on crutches offering treats to a dog that comes up and bounds and like jumps on people. And it's like, that's part of gang stalking. Because I'm concerned about this person being knocked down. And she keeps offering treats. And it's like, we have a dog here that hasn't, that gets too excited and, isn't trained to like constantly sit down or take it easy or not jump. And in addition, the reason I'm walking this dog is because the mom of this dog, and there's a mom and a dad, but the mom actually was dragged and sort of crashed onto the sidewalk because her dog bounded over across the street to get a treat from another neighbor who was offering. You have too many people offering treats and a dog that's way excited and goes running and it is close to 170 pounds. He also humps on command or demand, and I'm trying to figure out like how to best handle. This is a temporary situation because once the mom is healed up from a gash that she got in her forehead, then she'll, I guess, and her husband had knee surgery. So anyway, anyway, there's too much going on is what I'm saying. Dog walking, considering it's not, it's a certain type of job and people do take it seriously here. It's a very big business for quite a few people. You'd be surprised how many people want their dogs walked and how much goes into it and all that stuff. But in my case, once again, everything seems a little bit too orchestrated and organized. There's too many things going on and it consumes someone's mind. So if you have goals of, I just want to start my life over, I want to be able to have what other people had. I want to, what they call adult, and part of gang stalking is to make people feel like they're not an adult. So if you were someone who never really got to have a partner, get married in a good way, have a house, build a house and home, keep fixing it up, putting herringbone tile in 1 week, then refurbishing the garage to make it look like, to create a bigger living room area the next week. If you never got to be one of those people, you kind of are on the fringe. You're marginalized is what the LGBT community would say. and you never really get to feel like an adult, and that's part of gang stalking. There are people who create these somehow magically. They wind up with a wife or a husband or spouse, partner, whatever, and they create these homes, and then it becomes this thing where somehow they're in charge and they're better, but it makes everybody else feel like a loser. I actually know people who are much more adult like and have a lot of responsibilities, and they've had to handle a lot of things or what have you, and had to put up with a lot of adversity, who are much more adults, and they're single women per se, than say somebody who has a house, 2 kids, the white picket fence, the 2.5 cars. You see how, and I know a lot of people understand this dynamic. There are millions and millions of single people out there who are just like, God, I don't love, I want to be friends with so and so, but they act superior. Somehow they have a superiority, like an air about them, as if, it's this weird dynamic in America that you're supposed to look like this, and they automatically carry an air. And meanwhile, the wife is someone who works from home and doesn't have like millions of responsibilities at some major job or whatever, where she's interacting with a lot of people. So I'm just giving an example, but that feeds gang stalking. And then add on to that, they may come out on their lawn and do all kinds of things and put on a show, and it's very timed for when people come home from work or what have you, or for certain things going on in a certain area, and that's gang stalking. Some people are more like, what, I feel let's go crazy and put the TV out on the lawn and have like a party, and maybe it's more spontaneous or they feel compelled. Other people, it's all planned in order to make other people, as a show, so that other people see them a certain way, or to make people feel a certain way. So that's a whole other, I could go on for the rest of my life giving examples of how bad this has been. But there's a few. I appreciate the memory of the show and the wine bottle. I would put that in the title. That's how good that one is. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to keep it too long since I'm long-winded. So much to say with what started in 2011, but I'm trying to have a life. And if we have to use the word adulting, I kind of long for that sometimes. I long to have a little house, come home, have a cat, maybe a dog, and to have a partner, a husband, wife, whatever, and feel supported emotionally and financially, and contribute to a marriage. And it's somehow I wound up on another path. And I feel like, whatever this journey has been, it might have started many, many years ago, which kind of forced people over here, forced people over here, forced people over here, while other people kept grabbing assets, houses, and other people feel like chopped liver because they, weren't part of a process where other people were adulting by stealing. Okay, so have a great day, and thank you so much.